Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This Brassica is called Chieftain Ludlow's. Yeah, I'm fine with that. But it looks like it's a primary cross between those two species. I mean, Vericosa I know really well. The other one I've never heard of. But hang on, let's get it hung up. Now this, as Brassicas go, let's bring it out again, is not a large plant. And I really didn't expect it to bloom at a plant that size. It's actually got signs of two new growths, one on the front pseudo-bulb and one on the second one back. Those may well hold off now it's actually bloomed until the spike goes and it realises it hasn't produced any seed. But for such a small Brassica, on such a small plant, these blooms are f***ing enormous. Absolutely enormous. And I do like the colours and the patterns. They are quite nice. But you're looking at, what have we got here? I suppose that's a good 5 inches to the centre of the plant. And then you've got another 3 inches above that. It's a big bloom. And I really wasn't expecting this. As I say, it's an unknown cross basically. It was produced by a nursery that went out of business a while ago, and I actually got the plant free. When they finally went down, some trade people came along and basically virtually took away what they wanted, and everything that was left came along to the Wessex Orchid Society, and literally as you walked in the door you drew a ticket out of the bucket with a number on, and that number related to a specific plant, and you just went and helped yourself, and this is the one I got. At the time it was just 2 bulbs. It grew a nice new bulb relatively quickly, and now it's bloomed. So I am absolutely over the moon with that. That is just a hell of a bloom. Right, as far as repotting is concerned, this is the Laelia I got from Equigenera. I'm sorry I didn't film the repotting, but quite honestly yesterday this was done in the afternoon and it was hot and I was hot and I couldn't be basically bothered to film it. I just wanted to get on with it and then, you know, sit down with a cold drink. It's literally like that at the moment. But this one didn't have the best of root systems, but some of the roots that are on this front end of the plant are quite viable. Most of the rest at the back were just chopped off. It's got 2 new growths. Now, providing they don't fail and grow on, then eventually there will be some new roots. So I thought we'll get it in the last of the large holy clay pots. So I'll have to go steady what I buy now, won't I? Because those are going to be difficult to get. But if you're watching, Rachel, and you ever go to that garden centre again and they've got a stash of the large holy clay pots, just get them for me and I'll pay you whatever it takes to get them back to me. Just grab them while they're going. Because I've never seen anything like this in the UK. And the other one I potted up was the Encyclia cordigera, the sort of name variety, Cyan. And this was exactly as expected. When I got it, it was in a solid mass of sphagnum in a tiny little pot. It was hanging out over the edges. So I just basically took it out of that, teased a little bit of the moss away and potted it in a larger pot with some decent media around the outside. I potted it on, as they say. And as a consequence, when I went to repot it this time, there were some good roots around the outside of the plant. All the roots under the centre were basically dead, but this new growth that's growing up the centre of the plant had actually pushed some roots down. So cutting off the old roots, I had to take great care, because in amongst them were this little growth's roots coming right down through the middle of the plant, which is good news because it means it pushes roots out when the bulbs are about that size. So these other new growths will produce new roots in the not too distant future. I think there's 3 of them. Yeah, there's one around the far side, one in the middle there, and one around this side, plus the one in the middle. So 4 new growths on that one. which in theory all should bloom when they reach maturity. And because they're at different sizes, they'll reach maturity at different times. So I should get a nice staggered blooming. I know some people go for the mass blooming, which is very effective and great if you've got a show coming up. But I'd rather have a plant in bloom with only one spike, followed by another one, followed by another one, followed by another one, because then I've got months and months of those nice blooms. You know, that's just me, that's how I like it. Anyway, I had a busy day yesterday. I watered everything in the grow room. Everything. Every single pot, every single mount. That's why I didn't film the repotting at the end of the day. I'd had enough. Orchids were not my best friends by the end of yesterday. I was sweltering. I was working in here at 30 degrees and over 60% humidity. And, you know, the plants didn't wilt, but I did. So I ran out of steam yesterday. Today, I've only got the mounts to do. So a relatively easygoing day. And I think if it's going to be as hot as it was yesterday, I'm going to water the mounts early in the day, like now, while it's relatively cool. I say relatively cool. It only went down to 22 degrees last night in here. That's Celsius, obviously. I don't do Fahrenheit. It's funny numbers. I just don't get it. I know it's the English way, but this bit of England I just do not like. I like sensible things, like, you know, when it gets to 0, it freezes. When it gets to 100, it boils. I just like that. You know, and when it says 20, I'm reasonably comfortable, and so are my plants. But we'll get up to 30 again today, I expect. And the foggers will work their little backsides off trying to keep up. But they're managing it. The amazing difference that one extra fogger has made. Because when I just had the 3, when the temperature got up sort of like above 26, 27, all 3 of them would be on, but the humidity was dropping down to 50 and sometimes a bit lower. Whereas now with the extra 1, even at 30 degrees, I can still maintain over 60% humidity, which at that temperature is pretty good going. So, you know, the plants should love it, basically. Most of them are tropicals, and that's exactly what that is. Tropical, but it's not ideal to be working in. Now, this morning, because it's relatively early at the moment, it's just coming up to 6 o'clock, and I've been up 2 hours so far. I'm just an early bird, that's how I am. And it's the longest day of the year, I believe. So it was quite nice to have a coffee out in the front garden and watch the sun come up. Yeah? So solstice thing and all that. I didn't do it on purpose. I was just having a coffee at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's just how it went. But Sherry Baby hasn't kicked off the fragrance just yet. It's a bit early in the day. It's probably still half asleep. But yeah, I'll have a look round, see if there's anything else to add on. But I've got to sort out where these 2 foggers are. This one's sort of okay, but because I've got quite tall cattleyas up here, they're getting fogged close in. So they're actually getting wet. Now that's not ideal. Okay, I've got circulating fans. It doesn't hurt them, but I'd rather the fog dispersed into the grow room, and it's getting trapped by some of these leaves and they're just dripping wet, which at these temperatures won't hurt them. This one has just got to go somewhere else because I have to move plants to be able to take the top off, because I've got to lift it up and then turn it sideways because this is in the way. So it's not ideal. And today I will have a think about where plants and foggers need to go, because this isn't working for me. I'm not happy with it. I'm not comfortable. It's fiddly. And when they're full of water, they're relatively heavy, and, you know, trying to work sideways on and maneuver, you know, a blinking great tank full of water is not my idea of fun. So I need to rethink. The problem with these foggers is they've got very short mains leads. So they only come out to here. That's why they're both there. Otherwise they don't reach the plug. And I might have to just, you know, bite the bullet and actually put a mains extension on. I mean, ideally I would like some fog up in that corner. But to do that, that one needs to go there on the end. And to do that, I can't reach the plug. Otherwise that's where that one would have gone initially anyway. The only other thing I can think of doing is to actually put that one down at ground level, so that when the inlet fan kicks off, it literally picks up that moist air and distributes it. I'm not going to show you, but I've been wearing shorts lately. I mean, I don't show my legs on film, it frightens the children. Frightens me. But anyway, while I was working in here in that heat, from my knees downwards was quite comfortable. I could feel the cooler air coming in from that inlet fan. So at the lower levels in here, because I had bare legs and feet, I can feel it working. You know, so that now might make me rethink a bit. I mean, this Miltoniopsis up here is only up here because it's in bloom. It lives on the floor. And that's the coolest place, along with the other Miltoniopsis, and all my Coelogenes, and my... Oh, come on, brain. My... Nellie Isla. Come on, wake up, boy. My Nellie Isla's down on the floor. There's an Odontoglossum hybrid down there, Rawdon Jester, likes to stay cool. And all my other Odontoglossum types are here. And now I know that they're actually getting cooler air. Cool, moving air. Absolutely brilliant. I only assumed that was happening. Now I know. The old bare legs told me. Yeah, if it was any cooler, my hairy legs would have stood on end in the lower temperatures. But now I know that, I can shuffle a few plants around perhaps. Because I lost this one, this is Dendrobium senile, I lost my good one, and it was a better one than that, quite a bit better. You know, my canes were 3 times as fat as that. My new growths were half as long again. But I've only just got this one, but I decided I'm not going to lose this one, so I've done a bit of work. Now this is an unusual one because it will tolerate a hell of a temperature range. It can grow quite high up where it will be cooler, and it can be found in lower areas where the temperature would be higher. So it's relatively temperature tolerant. Some say it works better in a pot than on a mount, but I suspect that's based on experience of not keeping the flipping thing hydrated on the mount. You know, you got to work at the mounts, and in this, you know, in the summer, that's every day. You got to do it. Otherwise, don't have mounted orchids. Simple as that. You know, you will be failing them if you can only water once a week. A mounted orchid is not going to make it. Not in the warm summer with the long days. But anyway, this one's got some good new growths on, and I can see some signs of some new roots in places. So all I've got to do is keep it hydrated. But this one's a bit different. It is a winter resting type. Nearly. The advice and information that I can find is that if you're going to rest this one, don't do it unless you've got a brilliant root system and a strong, healthy, mature plant. Otherwise, don't rest it. It won't make it, and that's how I lost mine. You know, I disturbed it in the growing season, its roots stopped growing, it weakened, and then I rested it on top of that, and it went to sleep and never woke up. So I'm not doing it with this one. This one's getting grown through the winter. I like the idea of a pot actually, but they don't lend themselves to going in a pot very well. What I really need to do is take that strap off. You see that it's actually biting the canes. Now it's been potted top down, so the base of the plant is at the top of the mount, and it was hanging down quite nicely, and it's been strapped. Now that may be, you know, just for transport purposes, but effectively I need to get the air in round those canes, and strapping them all up in a bunch like that isn't going to achieve it. And I might take all the straps off and see what's underneath the plant, because obviously this was on some sort of other mount. You can see the little bits of bark. Yeah? So I don't quite know what was going on. It may be that it was on a very thin piece of bark and somebody cut round it and then stuck it on this piece of cork tiling, which is basically what it is, but it's only held on with cotton. So I think I might undo it and see what I've got underneath. Because quite honestly, it comes from a rainy place. You know, monsoon style. You know, so it's used to getting absolutely flipping soaked in its growing season. And on a bare mount, it's going to dry too fast, I think. You know, this is not like any other dendrobium I've got. I mean, these canes and leaves are hairy for a reason. Yeah? So it's not the same as the others. So I think I might actually get some moss in underneath and get it on a piece of my gnarly bark so that the roots can burrow into something. Because this tile stuff is all right, but there's no crevices. You know, it just as well be a flat piece of ordinary timber that you make a table out of. Yeah, so I'm going to do something with that. Maybe today, maybe not. But I'm looking after this one. So it's going to get some TLC. It's going to get attention. It's not just going to be lumped in with the masses. That's the way I look at things that are doing fine. Because if they're doing fine, I don't need to take any notice of them, apart from making sure they're hydrated and fed and all that. But they're not a worry. It's only the things that aren't doing well that become a worry. You know, that's recently repotted things, you know, stuff like that. Stuff that you repot and find out that it didn't have such a good root system, that needs a little bit of extra care. But stuff that's growing well, you know, I don't take any notice of it until it blooms, and then it's special again. But anyway, that Dendrobium senile, or senile, whatever you want to do, I think it's, because it's Latin, it must be senile, I agree. But the basis of it is it's the sort of white-haired old man look, you know, like me. And as a consequence, the word is based on senility, senile, old, yeah? So, you know, I'm quite happy to call it senile. I'm not happy that you call me senile. I'll find you. Only joking. Mucking around again. This is doing really well. And I keep ignoring it because it's not my plant, it's my daughter's. And I put it up here so that I can see both spikes, because up until now it was sort of twisted round. So, but yeah, I mean, it's okay, it's white, you know, with a touch of pink on the back. But they're nice blooms. And the Shelob Tolkien blooms are going to be open soon. This spike will be first, this one will follow on literally days after, I suspect. Lasts quite a long time, so that'll be coming soon. Okay, I got to get on. I want to get these mounts watered earlier in the day today, and then later in the day I may well get some sort of cool water in a sprayer, and some of the mounts that dry fast, I know which ones they are, things like Tolumnias, they dry fast. They may need another soak today, and hopefully today is the last day of this silly heat, I'll call it, although I actually enjoy it, but some don't. I mean, some poor souls are wilting in this heat, not enjoying it at all. But I am, you know, we don't get it often, so be thankful when you do. Don't knock it. Okay, I'll see what else I can find, but if I don't add anything else on the end, thanks for dropping by, and yeah, new blooms, first time bloomer. I don't know why that's special, but it just is. When something comes out for the first time, especially when you have no idea. I mean, there was no picture of this. It's a new cross, effectively. Now, you can look at the two parents and think, well, it's going to be something like that, but you can never tell until it blooms. And it could even be, because if that was a seed cross, which I believe it was, anybody else who's got this one might not have the same blooms as me. They could be different, more like one parent or the other. That's, you know, you seed produce plants, what you're going to get will have characteristics, but they won't all be the same. And that's how you get these named clones, the special ones. You know, you get 100 plants and they all come out in bloom and they look very, very similar. And as you cast your eye along, one catches your eye and think, oh, crikey, that one's a bit different. That one's special. So you can give it your own name and get it registered. Yeah? Because it'll be the only one. You did it. Whoever produced the seed and the cross produced that plant. And at that point, there's only one. So think, when you get one of those name clones, the effort that's gone in to getting you your plant is quite considerable. Anyway, if I don't do any more, thanks for dropping by and see you next time. It's really good when you think there's something wrong with a plant, so you take a risk. My Hercoglossam's been growing really well for years, and it's just coming to the end of its blooming now. Last few blooms, and then they'll be over for the year, I suspect. But it's been out in bloom with a succession for a very long time. But basically the plant wasn't doing so well, and it was on the tiniest of mounts, and its new growths this year didn't look very strong. So took it off the mount because it had a lot of aerial roots, and those aerial roots are now down in that moss, and I would suggest look at the response. It's chucking out new growths all over the base. So it wasn't getting hydrated enough. I always say feed and water well, and then failed to do it. Well, all those aerial roots are under that new moss, and that's the response. I think I can now produce loads of new growths. Love it when something works. Doesn't always work, but that has. So I think that'll have a lot of canes by the end of the year. Yay! Success. It's another successful change. This is Dendrobium primulinum. It was never a strong plant. And basically, it just didn't do well in a pot. Well, it's doing okay now. There's 3 good canes coming out. That's more than it's ever done before. I think it's only ever grown 1 before. And it's pushing out a nice, strong, new root system that'll take it through the winter. Yeah, it's got plenty of time for that root system to get right in and around that bark and under the moss, and those canes to push on. So it just didn't like being in a pot. Now it likes being on a mount. I've had to do it the other way around sometimes. Things that just didn't seem to do well on a mount have had to go in a pot. But this one, the change has done it. That's really done it as well. That's a good root system coming out there. Come on. Another one that got changed. This was Oncidium Tiny Twinkle. That wasn't doing that bad in a pot. And for whatever reason, I've forgotten, it's too long ago, this was part of the Ceramis project that failed miserably for me. When I took the plants out of the Ceramis, those that weren't dead already that I kept, I decided to give this little one a go on a mount, and it seems to be doing okay. It seems to like it. I mean, it's pushed out some new growths. Well, they're pushing on, they're not mature yet. And do you know what I'm really looking forward to is arching twinkle spikes on a mount. I think it's going to look good when that blooms, and hopefully all 3 of those new growths, 4 of those new growths, will bloom roughly at the same time, because they last a reasonable time, the blooms. That's well away from there yet. I mean, that'll be autumn, if not early winter, before that blooms, I suspect. But yeah, its roots seem to have adapted to mount culture, and it's doing okay. Yeah. So that basically is now off the worry list, because quite a few of the Ceramis plants were on the worry list, because at least one of the plants had Fusarium, and they were all close together. They were stood in the same water. But those that I kept have all been treated, and that one's pushing on nice and strong now. When you see new growths pushing on at a proper rate, and lots of new roots pushing out with green tips that don't stop growing and go brown, it's made it, basically. So yeah, another little success. Change that worked. They don't all work. I've been doing this and not really realising it. Another bonus of having this new set of shelves here, I've got somewhere to hang mounts while I film the flipping things. Although I've been doing it, it's just twigged that really is a bonus. This is a success story. When I got my book on Orengis, dedicated book for this genus, I went through the ones I've got, and well, I read through most of it, quite honestly, to find some others that I might like to get. Just a word of warning, I mean, that is a dedicated book for this particular genus, and it does specify near the beginning, when it's going through its generalizations and things, that quite a few Orengis are short-lived plants in the wild. So that's when they're in good conditions. It's just a short-lived genus in some cases. Some species don't live long. So the chances are they're more prolific at producing successful seed. Otherwise they'd die out, wouldn't they? But it said with this one likes higher light than most Orengis. So up in the roof it went. And it promptly threw out 3 spikes. So, you know, that tiny little piece of information. And, you know, we should get some flowers. Hopefully, somewhere down the line. Because they're quite slow to grow, the spikes. But anyway, yeah, that seems to be doing okay. Jolly good. This is another change of environment. This was mounted as soon as I got it, and although it produced a nice new growth and it bloomed, and boy was I pleased, this is Laelia anceps, it wasn't doing that well on the mount. So it's gone in a holy clay pot. And it's even producing roots off of the old pseudobulb. Obviously that where the 2 new growths, and 2 new growths I might add, yeah, not 1, 2, coming off the same bulb. But you can see the older bulb started to desiccate. It wasn't doing well on the mount. Now they're never going to plump up again, I don't think. Once they desiccate to a certain degree, they won't plump back up again. But nonetheless, they're still capable of storing some nutrients, albeit not as much as if they were nice big fat plump ones. But yeah, loads of new growth in the pot, roots coming out of places I never expected to see any, and 2 strong new growths coming up. Now I got to wait a long time for that to bloom again because it went downhill. Effectively, I've probably lost a year trying to get it back again. I mean, it will be strong. And hopefully it will bloom on both of those new growths, and that will be quite a show. But that's a way off. That's not going to happen this year. It's going to be next year at least, I suspect. But yeah, I mean, these holy clay pots really seem to be working. Takes a while for things to just settle down, but once they take off, you know, they really do like it. Anyway, needs watering. Come on. Okay, that's it for today. I moved the fogger from down there to up there. These foggers kick out a lot of fog, and if a plant is relatively close to the outlet where the mist comes out, it gets wet, which I don't want. So by putting it there, the fan hits the mist before it gets near any plants, and it thins it out basically. I mean, the same amount of moisture's sort of there. My only problem with this one is the way the fans work. Every now and again the fog comes over near that fan and goes straight out. So I'm still working on it. I mean, it is adjustable. I suppose I could get a bit more round there, but I'm trying to avoid the direct contact with the plants. So that's one. I think I'm happy with that one there. I've still got room for some plants on that top shelf. I've still got my little corner for filming mounted orchids and things. That's a real bonus. I didn't, you know. And because it's not on that shelf, I can now use that shelf again. So yeah, that's okay. Still not sure about that one up there. Thinking about it. But yeah, we have a last look at the Brassia in the mist. Orchids in the mist. No, it was gorillas in the mist, wasn't it? Well, I got orchids in the mist. Yeah, that's some bloom. Now I'm looking forward to next time, because that's its first blooming, and only 4 flowers. I say only 4 flowers because I've got Brassia types, including a proper Brassia hybrid. Now you're normally looking at least a dozen blooms, you know, sometimes heading up towards 20 blooms on a spike that's absolutely enormous. That's their trait. Yeah, and Vericosa, that's one of the parents, can do that. They tend to be a greeny colour, so I can see the element of Vericosa in this one. But yeah, the two eyes that are probably going to push on once this spike finishes will be the next lot of blooms, and they probably will both bloom, and if they produce the predicted spikes, boy is that going to be some show. Anyway, the whole place is full of chocolate scent, yeah, I mean, I've just got my Vandas to finish off, and I'm on top of things again after a weekend away. It's taken till Wednesday to get sort of back to normal. I don't know whether I showed those, but hang on, let me put my hand over the fogger and get my hand wet. These are nice blooms. This is Prosthetia radiata. They are highly fragrant, but because they're newly opened, they're not doing that bit yet. And those would be slightly weakened spikes because the plant was recently repotted. Therefore, its roots were disturbed, and it might be that its fragrance will be reduced as a consequence. But it'll be a much bigger, better, stronger plant next time round, because several new growths coming on them. So we'll look forward to those next time. Okay, thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you. Oh, better have another look at the Deesa. I mean, it's staying in here at the moment. I'm quite happy for it to be in here. With my high humidity and standing it in water, it's going to manage. You know, they like to be cooler, really. But with the amount of fresh air moving around here and the humidity it's got, it's going to be fine. So I think it's going to stay in here where I can appreciate the blooms. Just make sure that tray never dries out. Not in the growing season. Right. I shall see you next time. Again, thanks for dropping by.